Today's episode is sponsored by the American Homebrewers Association. Become a part of the U.S.'s largest community of homebrewers for just $48 a year by going to unitedwedrink.com/AHA. What exactly do you get with your AHA membership? How about a year-long subscription to Zymergy Magazine, the world's longest-running homebrew magazine? Exclusive deals and discounts at over 2,000 breweries, bars, and bottle shops across America. Discounts on Brewers publication books and merchandise. Access to a huge library of previous HomebrewCon seminars and talks. And early access to purchasing tickets to each year's Great American Beer Festival and Savor. Sign up now by going to unitedwedrink.com/AHA and get a year's membership for just $48. And if you sign up now, you'll get a free gift. What's that gift? I'm not saying. You need to go see for yourself. It's pretty great. Support United We Drink, support homebrewing, and support the American Homebrewers Association at unitedwedrink.com/AHA. The opinions and statements in this podcast do not represent those of the host's employers, co-workers, family, or imaginary friends. Now enjoy the show.
Happy hour? More like amateur hour. Welcome to United We Drink.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the only podcast that wouldn't be sponsored by Jeppson's Malort. Welcome to United We Drink, right here on unitedwedrink.com, as well as wherever fine podcasts are found. My name is Mike, and I don't like Jeppson's Malort. And I'm joined by my two co-hosts who do like Jeppson's Malort. First is the man who probably started the whole Florida train on Malort. Take it for what it is. Phil Palmisano.
Cannot take responsibility for being patient zero on this.
We also have the now unofficial spokesperson for Florida, Jeppson's Malort, Joel Codner.
And Truly Seltzer Lemonade.
If any of these do want to be official sponsors of the show, hit us up. We're also joined here on our very special first anniversary show by good friend, compatriot, industry peer,
mentor,
fellow Jeppson's Malort hater, along with me.
Misanthrope.
Yes. Kevin Abbott.
Yeah, this is disgusting. And I don't like I didn't like myself before we started drinking this, and I like myself less now.
Welcome to the podcast.
But I'm going to get through it.
We're hopefully all going to get through this. Apologies in advance if the quality of this episode is not very good, because we're actually in person, recording on one microphone at my bachelor party. And, so fuck it. There is sitting on this table 4 airplane bottles of Malort, the anti-hero Malort from Revolution, and the bourbon barrel-aged Malort. Phil, do you mind to fill people in on what you think of all of the Malortness going on?
Well, I think it's magical.
It's a Malortion.
It's a complete Malortion.
Those are great for when you have to go to the bathroom and just sneak a quick drink. It gets the job done. The bourbon barrel aged is nice. It's got a nice little sweetness to it. Sort of counterbalances the bitterness. The Revolution, Joel, you brought the Revolution bottle. I'm impressed with it.
Yeah, thank you to John at Revolution for hooking this up. I think this is 2 episodes in a row. I've thanked him for an amazing beverage. Kevin's not the biggest fan. I love it, like I've always said, because I hate myself. And I I did bring the mini bottles. I'm curious, they are airplane size, but I wonder if this liquid in particular is allowed on flights.
I don't think it's supposed to be allowed in this country. I'm pretty sure. When Mike said that you guys are going to be bringing these, I was like, yeah, that's great. They can leave them outside. Like if they want to go outside to drink it, I won't have it in my home. Of course, I love you guys. So, you can bring in any, rocket fuel / liquors that you want to drink into my home anytime you want to.
Fun fact, did you know it's kosher?
I do now.
I just found the kosher logo on it. That's pretty amazing.
Fun fact, Phil thinks that this has something that can cut the bitterness in it.
It's definitely true.
So we are celebrating two things here tonight. First, and probably the least important, is my bachelor party, as I get married in a couple weeks. But this is the show's first anniversary of its reboot. 1 year we have been back at doing this podcast.
Is J.J. Abrams still attached, or is that did it pass off?
Well, it got passed off to Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse. They're
okay.
They wanted to do a time travel thing, and we had to let them go after that.
I understand.
But we still got a hatch coming up at some point. Did I just spoil something?
I think you did. But,
Shit.
Listen, they'll forget.
There's numbers. So one thing, you know what, Kevin?
Yes.
Not a lot of people know you. I didn't give you a great introduction.
I think a lot of people know me. Maybe not a lot of people listen to this podcast, but a lot of people know me. And you know what? People like me, Mike. Okay? For your information.
I like you plenty. Yeah. And you are involved in this industry. And I didn't give any praise or accolade to what you do in this industry. Do you want to give a little bit of information as to where you are at, who you come from, where you're going?
I think you should tell people. I don't.
Who do you come
So Kevin was born in Detroit, Michigan, in 1979.
I'm not that old. 1981. Anyway.
No, Kevin is the director of operations.
That's my title, yes.
Barrel of Monks Brewing Company in Boca Raton, Florida. We are at his house in Boca Raton as well. He is hosting this quasi-socially distanced bachelor party for me. He is my best man. Phil is drinking Malort out of a martini glass, a stemless martini glass, if you can picture that.
Hashtag proper glassware.
Do you want to give any background or information on Barrel of Monks?
I mean, we do, Belgian style ales. We are actually, I always say almost because I'm so used to talking about beforehand, but we're 5 years old. We do all Belgian style ales throughout the state of Florida. We also have a sister brewery called Odd Breed Wild Ales in Pompano that I also kind of oversee. But yeah, we do. I believe really, really good classic Belgian style ales, and we do bottle conditioning on our big bottles and stuff like that. And yeah, we're proud of what we do.
Awesome. Yeah, all big fans here. Phil used to be co-worker with you.
Yes.
At one point. And
we used to be co-workers at a previous brewery.
Brewery.
This is a very incestuous group.
Yes.
We've all had our fingers in a lot of pies.
I love that Kevin doesn't listen to this show, but he already knows the trope of not mentioning by name the previous brewery. So thank you for keeping up with the Joneses on that one.
You're welcome. I had no idea, but I'm happy that I stumbled into that.
Besides Malort, what are people drinking? Phil he's chasing down his Malort with bubbly water.
I believe this is a Polar Raspberry Pink Lemonade.
Polar. That's quite lovely.
Just not enough bitterness for me in the Malort. That's a good combination.
Kevin is doing High-Low, the new, soon-to-be-released low-calorie, low-ABV IPA from Cigar City.
I'm digging this.
And I went from Malort in Chicago to Milwaukee. Got some Miller High Life.
And I just cracked open Golden Delicious from Captain Lawrence.
Can you please pour some of that in this glass so
Yes.
I am not tempted to pour more Malort in my glass?
Yes, I can.
You should cuvee.
Thank you. Oh God, life is.
Oh, what am I?
Things are looking up, guys. Things are looking up.
We have the cuvee. Here, you gotta go a little OG. There you go.
Just a splash, just a
Now I know
splash.
you're trying to kill me.
Just for the homies.
This is going to be a shit show of an episode, no doubt. So any of you who are tuning in to hopefully learn about safety or shelf life of beers or how IRI data, sorry, that's not going to happen here.
Do you talk about safety a lot? Is that like a running
We
segment?
talked
Like
about it on
safety
one
light?
episode.
You put on a hard hat and some kind of
They like it.
vest or jacket.
They like the safety.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I like bright colors, and I like my eyes where they are still living. They're in my head. That's their favorite place. Phil hates talking about safety.
Boring.
He also hates.
You really feel.
He also hates that when he walks into his brewery, that the people yell at him to put on safety glasses.
I'm good. I wear goggles. Protection first.
Joel shouted out goggles last episode.
Oh, those DeWalt's are amazing. They're $10 anti-fog, full visor, like ski goggles, and they're great. They absolutely do not fog. I'm brewing in like a 90+ degree brew house, and I mean, even when steam is coming at me, they're great. They're I don't know why everybody doesn't have them.
We've dropped so many brand names so far that you would think that this was all like ad placement in the show.
This is like a NASCAR car of podcasts. We just got emblems and logos and shit everywhere.
So Ed Roberts is fucking thrilled.
Yes.
Like,
But he can't listen to the podcast because we've only dropped the F word about 4 times already. And his kids can't listen to that stuff in the car. It's just not family acceptable.
original disclaimer of the show back in the day.
100%.
So I did pull up a little bit of data on the show because we wanted to kind of go over, what did we expect this show to be with the relaunch? How well did we think it would go? Did we accomplish anything? No, probably.
Honesty is important.
Yes, it is. And looking back at the listens of some of our shows, I just want to real quick ask Joel and Phil, what episode do you think is our most listened to of all of our episodes? We've done 27 full episodes, and we've done, I'm not even going to look, a number of minis. The minis are nowhere close to the full ones.
I'm going to guess mental health.
Phil?
I'm going to guess the one that I wasn't part of.
Which one was that?
No, actually, I did mental health. I think mental health is hands down our number one.
Oddly enough, no. Mental health is our 6th most listened to. Our first episode is actually our most listened to episode, followed very closely by work-life balance.
That was a good episode. I like that episode.
We got a lot of positive feedback from listeners. It was our 2nd episode that we did, and we got a lot of people on board with the podcast at that point, and then we lost them probably somewhere around beer food pairings.
27.
Is this a full disclosure episode of your podcast?
Absolutely. Okay. No.
We're mining for advertisers right now.
The industry certifications and education was 3, own premise 4, crowded shelves was 5, and then followed by mental health. So I feel like our more popular episodes have been about things that I think that a lot of us find important in this industry, and I think are things that we should revisit. I mean, we talked about revisiting some of this stuff. We revisited the whole shelf space, fighting for shelf space, tap space thing with the whole COVID era that we're living in right now. Like a month or so ago, at this point.
As that continues to develop, literally week after week, day after day.
Yeah, I mean we've had today just hanging out a number of conversations about stuff related to on-premise, off-premise, package draft, distributors, all of this, and just our own experiences at 4 different breweries and what we're all kind of dealing with. And it is very interesting to see how we're all dealing with that, because like Phil, you are with a larger regional national brand. Joel is on the complete opposite scale, has a mostly in-house brewery with a little bit of distribution, and Kevin and I are practically right in line as this smaller but pretty heavily distributed brand at this point in time. And it's really interesting to hear how we're all dealing with this in our own ways. Maybe we can learn some things from one another. But I mean, Kevin, you are not on the show at all.
Okay, bye.
Like, how has there been anything that you have learned during the COVID era times that you think has helped the brewery at all to get by in this?
I don't know if I've learned anything. It's not changing from week to week. It's changing day to day on what your focus is, what you're trying to get accomplished, what you think you can get away with. Like, we're in a situation right now where things are changing rapidly, and right now everyone's just holding on. You're just holding on and trying to get to the next day, get to the next week, make the next payroll, and that's where I feel like we're at this time. And talking with you guys gives me a little bit of more of a rosy color, because we're all here, we're all experiencing the same same kind of things, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to look very, very different than what it did pre-COVID. But we're going to all have to adapt to it. And I'm kind of excited for those kind of changes. I mean, we know that we're already a packaging brewery, but we know that packaging is going to be a bigger part of what we are at the end of this year and starting in 2021. So that's one big thing that I've learned, is that we've got to focus more on that. We got to make sure that we can play in that sandbox.
You're a brewery who already is different by most standards, by being in a mostly or completely all Belgian brewery. So you have to come up with creative, unique ways already of making yourself seen in this crowded market. So it is almost as if like you can thrive off of playing from a different perspective in this whole crowd. So you're used to trying to find a way to stand out.
I mean, that's the challenge from day one. Yeah. But the thing is, it's not even about being a Belgian brewery. Any brewery starting out from day one in the market that we opened up into 5 years ago was going to have the problem of visibility. Every single one of us. I mean, just across the board. Do you exist? Where are you at is the biggest problem that we all have, because there's beer fans out there and they'll find you if they know that you're around. If you make good product, I do believe that it matters and it's important. But the visibility problem is everything. It's from day one. It was the main goal. 5 years in, it's the main goal. During COVID, it's the main goal. Visibility, visibility, visibility. However you can do it, whoever you can pay, whatever you can do to get the right people in place to make that happen.
Joel, how are things holding up for you in Prosperity right now?
Right now, we're working on securing our food license. Looking at doing a little bit of renovation in the tap room to kind of make a little area for food service, and back to go only. So that's a bit of a struggle. It sucks to come on and be ready to rock, and then we kind of got to slow down a little bit. We still ordering ingredients, still making beer, still making things happen. Stuff is still going out into distribution, thankfully. Actually have some cans coming in through some contract brewing in Orlando, which is really exciting. But it's still just such a scary, volatile time. I mean, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. And as people have seen in Florida, I mean, the DBPR is announcing regulations via tweet. So
or through the director of the DBPR's personal Twitter account at 5:01 on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and he's getting rightfully roasted in a lot of social media channels. But, like we said, we're doing what we can. And, our landlord was really cool. He helped get a giant tent put out front so people can at least enjoy a beverage outside socially distanced. We're doing whatever we can and trying to keep the lights on. So scary time for everybody, big or small.
One thing that you mentioned there about having a beer outside socially distanced that I came across this week was to our friends in Texas who had their state laws change, and this impacts people like Phil's Oscar Blues location and Deep Ellum, that they used to be able to sell beer to go and allow people to drink said beer on their patios and just hang out there. That has been cut off. Also, they have made it to where you can only serve on premise if you serve over 50% food, and they are counting in your alcohol sales, your distribution as well. So beer, not only beer that you sell in your tap room is being counted against you, but anything you sell out into the market is being counted against you as well. And that then can also help count against a restaurant or a bar who buys your beer as well from being able to be open for on sales premise. It's one of the most bizarre things in how many facets just selling one keg can impact multiple establishments. Phil, have you, I know you don't handle Texas in your territory, but have you heard from any of your colleagues about the stress of said regulations?
No, we at least this week, the main focus was just trying to continue to figure out how to maneuver my territory in particular, and that being specifically Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. Florida is keeping more than enough attention for me. My counterpart over in Texas, I'm sure he's trying to roll with as many punches that he can possibly deal with at this point in time. The reaction is similar to Florida, where when you look at Miami-Dade specifically, pulling back indoor dining and sort of the threats that we're starting to see coming from Broward County and potentially even Palm Beach. Everybody's paying attention to everything right now. And so at every state, just like beer laws, every state is going to be a little bit different. Every state's really handling this situation on premise wise a little bit different. And so I think, we're just trying to find the best way to maneuver with our specific teams and within our company and our collective of breweries.
That I can't even begin to imagine the stress level someone like you goes through with that sort of thing. I almost feel like when I think of what's going on with us is just somewhat small time, but you have a ton of you have people who work underneath you. You oversee a number of states, and I got to assume that's such a stressful thing. And I'm glad that you're rolling with it the best that you can.
I think it's par for the course because when you look at my coworkers, my team members, as well as the stresses that I'm dealing with, I don't think they're any larger or smaller than what everybody else at this table and within the state of Florida is dealing with. And honestly, they might be a little bit smaller because we're not necessarily, while we are fighting for our well-being and our place within the industry right now and continuously trying to push, it's a completely different situation where, our friends through the Florida Brewers Guild put together a letter to Ron DeSantis, our governor, and Halsey Bashirs this week, and really basically said close to 100 breweries, if nothing changes in the next 2 weeks, are at risk of closing. And think about all those jobs. Think about the well-being of so many people. And Florida, which has always been somewhat of a beer wasteland, all of a sudden starts taking a regression. We were moving forward and we were doing really well as a state, and we were making our name. We have fantastic breweries that on a national, regional, international level are getting recognition, and now we're at risk of seeing some of our friends and peers, unfortunately, having to close their doors. So my stresses, I don't think, are any larger or smaller than what every other small business owner is going through right now. That said, they're just different. I think everybody's dealing with different things right now, personally.
That's a very good point, because we look at us sitting here, and we have two of us, Kevin and I, whose breweries have teamed up with a food truck to be able to stay open. You have a restaurant at your Cigar City location in Tampa that allows you to stay open. Joel's brewery is trying to obtain some sort of restaurant licensing in order to get back open. I'm seeing a ton of our colleagues and our friends on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all of that, some of them who have not opened back up because they don't have those options right now. Some of them have been able to do so, and I'm happy for all of them, and I'm hopeful that the ones who haven't yet are going to be able to find a way to do so in the coming days and weeks so that they aren't a statistic eventually. And I'm sure that this is happening in other states as well, and maybe we're not hearing about it as much, maybe because we're just so consumed by what is going on in our own state or we're in a
bubble. I mean, we're in our own little world.
Yeah, 100%.
It 100% is going on in all kinds of other places, and has been now for months and months and months. I mean, these are very unprecedented times, but this isn't new. We were having this conversation 5 months ago.
Yeah. And honestly, it sort of full circle back to when we started this podcast, and three of us were in very different positions and very different positions throughout the United States, working in different level breweries, and you had some experience in PA that we did not have in Florida. And I think that when the original talks of this getting rebooted sort of popped up, it was, now we can look at this podcast not just from a Florida perspective, but we can really look at this podcast from an East Coast perspective.
Or just an industry perspective.
And industry, 100%. And start looking at the craft beer business and the beverage industry as a whole. And hopefully moving forward, we get the opportunity to sit down with more peers across the United States and potentially international. And the silver lining, I think, is we found that we can actually utilize software a little bit better than what we were. We've done several social happy hours that have been great. I mean, I remember the last one that I jumped in on was going until 11, 12 o'clock at night, and just people talking, literally from all over the United States talking with us, and being able to connect and hear the stories from around the United States about the industry that all of us love at this table is pretty impressive.
Yeah, and those social happy hours, those virtual happy hours, if you will, were incredible. That we got to meet listeners who are beer fans, fellow colleagues in the industry. that I've never met before,
NASCAR
or just
fans?
Ed Roberts. We knew him. I didn't know he was so into NASCAR. Unfortunately,
I'm not surprised. Go ahead.
but that was a great way. I feel of just the things that initially brought me into and made me love this industry was the community and being able to talk with people who are fans, who we all used to be, and then industry people who we all are now. Like, I loved talking to people like Tommy, who is a big time industry vet at Free State Brewing in Missouri. And also love talking to Andrew, who is just a beer fan in Massachusetts. Like, great people who just are the reason that I keep on going. Like, anytime that I am doubtful about this industry, which happens, definitely happens, I can think of the people who are sitting at this table with me and a number of the people who are listeners of our show who just seem to have the same kind of ideas as us and just want to be calm, cool, hang out, chill, talk about whatever while drinking some good beer and supporting industry. I love that. And it makes me feel a little bit better knowing that I'm not alone out there and that there are still good folks, because we know that there are shitty folks out there. We're not naming names.
What would you say the percentage is nowadays?
What did it used to be?
I was used to say the craft beer industry is 99%, or was it 98%?
99. I think it was 99.
All right.
And by the way, I only agreed to be on this podcast because I thought we were naming names. I thought that's what we were doing. I thought that was the point of drinking god-awful liquid.
I've already named Kevin Abbott.
Okay.
That name has popped up.
Okay.
Joel, you are the one who probably brings this up the most on Twitter. What is your rough number on asshole free in this industry right now?
67.
Ooh.
67.
Yeah.
About
2/3.
You're rounding up from 66.6, I assume, because you hail Satan.
Okay, 66.6%. Hail Satan. Enjoy Arby's. So
That's the bad people?
no, 66.6% good people.
Ah, gotcha.
So I would say
so positive.
I would say one out of every. See, that sounds terrible. I don't know.
6 out of 10 people.
And granted, I'm in Florida, and I'm not saying.
Kevin keeps drinking the Malort, thinking it's going to get better.
It does, actually. It's like a fine one.
No, it's not
at all. Not in any way, shape, or form. Joel, go on.
Okay, so you have to understand, though, that this doesn't just mean the beer people enjoying the beer, making the beer. I mean, there's lots of people behind the scenes. There's owners, there's investors, in one way or another, there's lots of people who are in this business that aren't exactly in this business.
Joel knows them all.
I've met a few down here. And I like, I mean, we were talking before the show about this kind of stuff, and I don't want to harp on any sort of negativity, but it seems as the industry grows, it's hard to keep that rate, commensurate with the amount of experienced, positive, passionate people, and you end up with, people who see trends and dollar signs and maybe look at beer in sort of a different light than what we do, who, we kind of came in through it organically. We enjoyed beer and eventually found our way into a career about it, whereas other people go, oh, that's a trend, just like gourmet cupcake shops or self-serve frozen yogurt. These are...
I'm writing these down. So. Are those still popular?
By the
Froyo?
By the
Question
way,
mark?
also beer ingredients these days.
That's true.
I walk into some breweries and I'm like, is this a Menchie's? Like, should I just grab my own glass?
Honestly, I try to be the positive person and say, I think everyone's good in this industry. I think everyone's good, pretty much 99% of people all around. People are just trying to get by. They're trying to do something. Whether good is subjective to me. If someone got into this industry because they want to make a bunch of money and sell to the highest bidder in 5 years. Is that good? I don't know. They're employing people. They're giving people jobs and allowing them to have a livelihood. They're trying to make money for themselves and their families. They're still trying to produce something that gives people joy in their lives. There are plenty of people that I would say, oh, they don't make. There's people I don't think they make very good beer, or they don't make the kind of beer that I like to drink.
Are you going to name names
later on? Give me more Malort, and the pure hate will bubble out of me. But I don't. But that's all me. That's all my subjective experience with that. There are plenty of people that say you're an idiot. Those people make better beer than you. I'm not going to tell them they're wrong. They may be right. They're right for themselves. So I think it's a subjective thing. I think it's easy when I don't agree with the way people do their business to kind of sit there and go, yeah, I don't like that. I think we naturally do that in general with not just beer, but everything in our lives. But I try to be as positive when it comes to that as possible, because very few people get into any business or do anything going, I'm going to screw everybody over I possibly can. I'm going to make the worst product possible, and I'm going to do this, that, and the other. I think most people have good intentions for whatever they believe their intentions are.
I believe, in challenging times, people really do show their true colors. And the camaraderie that we've seen down here, at least in the state of Florida, throughout this entire situation, has been relatively positive from brewery to brewery to brewery to brewery, and even brewery to retailer, and for the most part, wholesaler. Everybody's trying to work with everybody, trying to navigate this time together as an industry and working together. I'm sure, to bring back a phrase from the last show, a couple bad apples sort of spoil it for everybody. That Mike didn't really care about that one last episode, but
Kevin, it's a terrible saying, right?
What?
The whole the bad apple.
I forgot how to talk. What?
And those bad apples only use like 10% of their brain.
The bad apple phrase.
That's an inside
A
Kevin
couple
joke.
bad apples. Is it true? Does anyone know if it's actually true? If one
No.
bad apple spoils a bunch?
No.
I've seen how it's made. I'm pretty sure those bad apples just get like popped off the assembly line and nothing but good apples come out.
They
but
just
can
make
ruin it for everybody.
they make apples in a lab, right?
Don't the bad apples just become cider?
Are
You
those
know that
angry
old
apples?
saying, a couple bad apples become cider. What? I don't know.
I stand corrected
Or
from
applesauce?
2 episodes ago.
But
But I do believe that the camaraderie that this craft beer industry has sort of shown its true colors all the way through all this, and it seems like there's less bickering. There's more people picking up on the All In Together project and the Black is Beautiful project, and the brewing community nationally is we're trying to lift everybody all at the same time, and that includes the hospitality industry in general.
one thing that I firsthand experience is at my own brewery. So we're seeing this shortage of aluminum cans, especially in the 16 ounce.
Isn't it aluminium?
Correct,
Okay,
Kevin.
On some
Thank you.
infomercials. Yeah.
So our friends over at Civil Society have been having issues with getting 16 ounce cans. We had some in our own brewery that we weren't using. We did a small 16 ounce can run a month or so ago, and that's all that we have right now. And we don't have anything else planned, so we sold them the remainder of our stock. It's just so they can can up some stuff. And it's nice to be able to help some people out who can utilize something that we're not really using right now. I remember when this whole thing started going down, crowlers became an insane shortage, but I know we've kind of caught back up with that. But I guess 16 ounce cans are short. Change is apparently short, like all coins. My local Wawa, or all the Wawas, are like, please use exact change or cards for purchases now. So like it's nice to be able to help your fellow brewers.
I want to put it out there right now. Any breweries that need some change, I've got some. So contact the United We Drink podcast. They will get you in touch with me. And I've got, I mean, it's a whole, I don't know if you see it, it's like a Coke bottle.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? Like a plastic one.
Yeah.
Pretty classy. I've got it there in my closet, so I can help out with anyone that needs change.
Just make sure you don't accidentally send the string ball named Joel. That's all the Wireman
They
bag
sent
strings.
me one. They mailed me what was it? The original?
Yeah.
It wasn't big. It was maybe the size of a softball or a tennis ball. And then I go on Instagram the other day, and there's Tim with a whole new Joel.
Well, I mean, Joel's always being added.
Is this
to.
like a clone?
Joel is the one that lives at the brewery.
Yeah, that was a faux Joel,
Oh.
faux Joel, if you will. It was a faux Joel. So yes, we have a malt bag string ball named Joel in your honor. So you have that. I mean, you can always stick your flag in that. You've got that. You're good.
Okay, so now I'm going to say 68%.
Man,
He just
really
he
did not
upped
think
it.
highly of
Yeah.
you guys.
No, he just upped it.
I know, because they have a string ball of
Oh,
So his thoughts of Barrel of Monks Brewing out of Boca Raton, Florida,
Has gotten better.
apparently.
Shameless plug.
It was odd.
I am just happy in the fact I'm not taking it that way. I'm taking the fact that something I said improved Joel's view of humanity ever so slightly. My work is done. You guys are all welcome.
Thanks for joining us, Kevin. It was really nice. All right, so
Keep drinking it.
By the way, I think this beer, which I won't name, is worse than the Malort.
Ooh.
Like, it's nasty.
you're nasty.
And I loved this beer at Savor 2011. I thought it was the greatest thing ever.
Fighting words at the table.
Is that beer from 2011?
19.
No.
This is, while we won't mention names, I will say that this is one of Mike's favorite beers that is released. And
It is.
I think Joel just sort of metaphorically punched him in the face.
And there's no residual.
He's gonna literally punch me in the face later on.
I purposely rinsed my Malort glass with High Life so that I could try this beer. And it's nasty.
Do you want some Malort for that?
That was
like
a long,
for that humble brag.
Go for that too.
That was a humble brag. Now he's mixing it with the High Life.
Listen, I'm going to do all kinds of weird mixology because you called out my mixology skills when I put, was it the popsicle or was it the Malort seltzer cocktail?
I like
the
the popsicle.
No, it was the Malort seltzer cocktail. Okay. Yeah.
All right, 65.
The Devil's I know.
See, I had him at 68, you bastard. You
It's
brought
a
him
moving.
back down.
It's a moving scale.
It's like Bitcoin. You just don't know where it's going to go.
I mean, give the people a cocktail on the fly.
The Devil's Anus.
No, not one that you've used already. Give them something new.
I'm not a cocktail guy.
Well, you want to be.
The Bomb Pop one was solid.
Yeah.
I'm saying something he's never done. Like
Okay,
he was
fine. We'll go in a different direction since, around 4th of July, everyone's talking. Like, I was one of thousands of people, it seemed, to put a red, white, and blue bomb pop in a glass of liquor. So what a lot of people don't know about is bomb pop's counterpart, the chocolate banana bomb pop, rocket pop, whatever you want to call it. It's chocolate, banana in the middle, and then chocolate again. Only used to be able to get it from like the Ice Cream Man in the 80s, and now you'll find it in some grocery stores and stuff. But put that in a glass of coffee Patron.
Ooh,
Oh,
I like that.
that's actually
What about the chocolate covered bananas?
He also did a big
I'm
lean
not
back.
into
Like
a Bluth frozen banana.
I'm not into that.
Joel did a big lean back on that,
Yeah,
as in
yeah.
like
Yep.
got that.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
Like all in,
yeah.
pushed
that was-
all my chips to
that
the
was,
center.
That was
Yeah.
beautiful. I wish this had video. Does this not have video?
No, not yet.
No.
This is just a
Then
microphone.
why do I keep looking at the camera?
I don't know. This is your house.
I was going to say, why do you have cameras?
Because I knew you guys were coming over, and I need some material.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No, you're welcome.
We're 64.
This is a stock market. Joel,
By the way, I am sitting in front of the bar. If you want any of these drinkable alcohols to pour in your glass and mix with this rocket fuel,
I had a bit last night. I thought
let
the
me know.
scotch was a little smoky. The bourbon was very nice.
and it's unpeated Islay single malt.
Wow.
And I've actually had this bottle before.
what are we talking about? What other sponsor are we getting?
Bruich Lodich.
Brew Eclectic.
Brewed what Joel said. He's now the Brian Cox of...
Yeah, that's the only reason I know how it's pronounced is because of Brian Cox on YouTube.
That is a great series. If you ever want to know how to pronounce any scotches, look up Brian Cox, the actor.
Brian Cox from the Infinite Monkey Cage, like the physicist Brian Cox.
No,
The actor.
The actor.
From the movie Troy and The Glimmerman.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Super Troopers.
Are we doing the Brian Cox podcast?
Sorry, we accidentally faded into that side project of ours.
Welcome to the first episode of the Brian Cox cast. Drinking with Cox.
He's not related to the owner of my brewery, who they share the same name, last name. But this is a good scotch. I got this as a Christmas present a couple years ago.
It's good.
I really enjoyed
It
it.
was just a little smoky for me. I prefer that more caramelly, toffee kind of scotch.
What's your scotch of choice?
The Balvenie 12-year double wood or Glenmorangie Quinta Ruban.
Kevin.
Oban.
Nice.
Oban all the way.
I'm a Lagavulin fan myself. I have a little bit of 16 still left at my house. I almost brought it here, but there is not enough for all of us. I also like Macallan. I think Macallan 10 is one of the better, just like low age single malts out there. And now if Scotch people are listening to this and they're like, these fuckers don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Now we got some more listeners because they'll be like, look at these fucking assholes.
Anger coming out here.
Oh yeah, it happens on this podcast every once in a while. We'll have an anger episode that's just devoted to.
It'll just be me. Phil and Mike will sit out that one.
It'll be sponsored by Taco Bell because that really adds to Joel's anger.
Well, the next day.
Yes, anger nonetheless.
This adds to my anger at myself for drinking it and doing it again.
Oh, see.
He just keeps going to the well.
So
At some point in time, you're going to admit you like it.
no, I don't like it.
No,
No,
but
listen to me.
You're a glutton for a punishment.
Yes,
otherwise.
no. Okay, let me lay this out for you. I took a job at the Olive Garden, brag, when I was 18 years old. Okay, and I had never drank red wine or anything. I drank the red wine. I said, "This tastes like garbage." Well, it was Olive Garden wine, so of course it tasted like garbage. But the first time you taste anything, it tastes like garbage. The first time I drank Scotch, we're talking about Scotch, bourbon, they're undrinkable. The first time you try those, no one would ever want to have it again if it didn't make you feel really good. And someone didn't tell you that it was supposed to be good, you'd go, well, this is garbage. I don't drink this. I'll drink Mad Dog 2020 or a wine cooler, Bartles and James. Thank you very much. And you just drink that, right? But you try it over and over again, and some of the aspects you didn't like about it, like with bourbon, or the overt hot alcohol taste fades to the background, and you start getting the nuances of it. And so I had to drink whiskey over and over and over again to develop a taste for it and enjoy it. I did the same thing with red wine. I did the same thing with beer, honestly. First time I had a sip of beer, which, I'm from Michigan, so I was 8. And Kevin didn't buy an uncle that said, sit on my lap and have a sip of my freaking, the Strohs. But...
Well, this is taking a dark turn.
Well, we're going back to the mental health kind of thing. We'll talk about me later. But you have to develop a taste for these kind of things. So in my mind, at some point, I know this is awful. I know this is famously undrinkable. But there's two people here that I respect, and I asked earnestly earlier on, do you drink this ironically, or do you actually enjoy it? They both said they actually enjoy it. So I'm trying. I'm trying to develop a taste where I don't make a face when I drink it.
What nuances are coming out at you that you keep going back for?
Violence. Violence and anger are jumping out of the glass at me. But it's bitter and it hurts. But maybe there's something else underneath it all. If Joel's making a cuvee out of two different bottles with a giant smile on his face, and I'm looking at him going, I can't believe he's drinking that, I hurt.
I can drink Campari like straight up with maybe a little bit of soda. You just went cross-eyed drinking that. Like this is a whole new level of anything.
Does anyone know the story, if it's true, or know the story in general about Jägermeister becoming like a popular drink in this country?
No.
So the story is, and it might be apocryphal or whatever, but is that someone was at a bar and they were noticing these college kids asking the bartender for the most disgusting thing they had behind the bar to make them take shots of. And the bartender grabbed Jägermeister, and they were drinking it all night because it was so gross and undrinkable. And he said, well, that's something. And they bought the brand. I was like, the story I heard is that it was like the owners of Grey Goose or one of the big vodka companies, bought the brand and started marketing it in that way to like college kids. Because if you look at the bottle, it doesn't look like anything that would be attractive to young people. This is nothing visually that's attracted to young people. But it was basically pushed as, I can't believe you're drinking this, but enjoy it, kind of thing. That could be complete bullshit. I have no idea, but I love the story. Because it's like, it sounds like it could work.
I love the fact you have to freeze it to drink it. Because you want it to just completely numb your taste buds as it goes down. I prefer my Malort at almost boiling temperature.
I've noticed it's all neat. There's no ice involved. There's no dilution whatsoever.
No mixing, no chasers. No...
You know what? I want to go grab an ice cube and try this, but I just still feel like I'm going to hurt afterwards.
Oh, I'm actually going to rub this on a wound from keg washing. I've got like a little thing on my finger that I hurt.
I'm actually watching it heal right now. You got an extra
finger growing out of that wound.
This will turn me into Wolverine.
There's adamantium in here. Okay.
If anything, it's going to kill whatever's on the surface.
And you, but that's okay because we're all dying a little bit every day,
and
so
it
it's
happen
fine.
soon enough.
We should all just kill what's on the surface.
What, dude? This shit just got dark, guys.
That's deep.
Guys.
Mental
guys.
Sixth most popular. Really
I'm going to repost that episode because that's fucking shameful.
So, I was a guest on this podcast a long time ago, but what was the mental health aspect of it? What were you talking about? Mental health in brewing? Just mental health in general?
In the industry.
Did you have Dr. Phil on? Because I hear he's an expert.
He's right there.
Oh, I didn't know. You look very different in person.
Self-proclaimed doctor. I lost a lot of weight. Quarantine's been good to me. No, we talked about the brewing industry. We talked about hospitality. I think
just the stress of being in this, and like the need to almost like have to drink in order to be a part of the community. Like you're working events. You're just working. If you are a bartender, like feeling the need to then go out and hang out with people afterwards, after work. Beer fests.
Sampling beers with accounts, and then how that weighs on your personal and family life as well.
Interesting.
And then also just kind of pulling back the curtain, if you will, of, everyone gets into the industry because they're passionate about it and they love it and beer is glamorous. And it's like, no, it's actually work and you're a glorified janitor and you're mopping shit, for 12 hours a day. So, that can come as a shock to people, and it can cause some disappointment or, or some unrealistic expectations. So I always like to give people realistic expectations when it comes to this industry. It may come off a little negative, but I mean, it's not all the bro handshake collab photos and sellout releases. I mean, we were just talking earlier about how, we were doing all this like industry gossip and saying like who doesn't like who, and this guy's stealing my business and blah 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 blah. And those are not the stories that get told on the surface. Everyone thinks, oh, it's beer, everything's awesome, we're drinking, we're having fun, it's a good time, and it's like, well, yeah, but there's another side to it as well.
There's going to be a bunch of people hitting you the fuck up now, like, oh, who did you talk shit about?
Oh, fuck. Whatever.
Well, our industry is every industry. I mean, we're all human beings, and we all deal with that in the same way. The aspect of that you touched on about like the non-glory, glorified position, the glorified janitor. That's the comment I always use when talking about brewing. It's like, oh, you want to be a brewer? Okay, so you want to spend 85% of your time cleaning stuff? Cool. Here's a brush. Go scrub that tank kind of thing. But I also find it like the best thing at the end of the day for me is I worked in the hospitality industry for 15 years before I got into brewing. And the best thing I can say is best job I ever had. If I could never work a day again in my life, I would take that option. I have plenty of other things that I want to do. Plenty of other hobbies that I want to delve into. But it's the best thing I've ever done for a living, and I'm happy I'm doing it. And I think if you can get to that, that's good.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's the most you can ask for. I mean, my wife loves her job. If somehow we became millionaires overnight, she would continue to do it. I don't know what that feels like. That's pretty cool. But if you can be like, oh, this is the best thing I ever did, and I'm content with it, I think that's a good spot to be in.
I think I would stay in the industry, a millionaire overnight. I think I would stay in the industry. I just don't know if I would want to stay on the career path that I'm moving, where, potentially I could move into something that maybe might be a little bit more hands-on than sales.
Like what?
A little bit less stress. I don't know. I've always,
like that. This is kind of intriguing to me because I've never heard you talk
I've
about
always
something
loved
like
training.
this.
I always thought it, not necessarily going out and doing it yourself, but teaching somebody else how to do it was a strong suit of mine. I also really like the marketing aspect of brewing. When we worked together, that was one thing that I loved. It was, how do I get so much of attention doing X, Y, and Z without having to spend nearly as much money as, or any money at all.
Yeah.
And
shoestring budget.
Literally just try and like hustle and shake. Things like that I think would be entertaining.
That's an interesting concept or a question. Just simply,
and I love sales. Don't
ask
get me wrong,
because I feel like a lot of us have dabbled into different aspects of this industry, to where like, all right, Phil, you're in sales. Joel's in production. I'm in production. Kevin's in sales. Like, if you could be any other position, whether or not you think you're good at it or not, like just looking at like what would make you happy. Like, is there a different position that you would like to be in? Like, I mean, you were just saying there with marketing, like Joel, like other than producing the actual beer, is there a position that like you think that you could really enjoy?
I do think you'd be a good gigolo, by the way, but that's the different industry altogether.
I want my $10. So I remember posting something a long time ago saying, I don't know if I'll be able to do this forever, because obviously it's a physically demanding job.
Mess you up.
And right now I'm in the worst shape of my life. 3 years ago I was in the best, and it's a roller coaster for me. Like my physical health is up and down, all over the place. And there are some days where I'm just like, oh, this is fucking just rough. Like it's hard, especially in Florida. Like it's hot, It's humid. It's physically demanding, and it's also very repetitive. And I thought to myself, like, sooner or later there's going to be a day where I physically can't do this, whether it's just because I'm old, arthritis, whatever it may be. And I thought to myself, maybe I would love to teach this in some way. Not like when I was unemployed for a little bit, I had left my last job, and people were like, I had a few people going like, oh, you should consult. And it's like, no, I don't have that much experience. Like, regardless of whatever I've done here, I still don't have that sort of, I almost feel like there's a conceit in it, or an arrogance. Like, oh, I know so much, I'm going to consult. I'm going to tell everyone else how they should do their thing. Like, no, I wouldn't do that. But I would love to teach in some way. I do love training. I do love, every now and then we have like an intern come out and kind of show them the ropes and stuff. And I love explaining things and saying, if you do this, but you don't do that, here's what's going to happen. And I love breaking all that stuff down. I really enjoyed teaching, during the downtime when my kids' school switched to virtual after COVID started. So, I do love teaching and explaining and just sort of showing people, what, how to do things and things like that. But to me, it's a continual learning process. I've always told everyone there is no level 100 brewer, even though I'm sure we could name tons of experienced brewmasters we know who probably do know everything. I still think it's just a constant learning experiences with changing trends, changing styles, ingredients. There's always new hops being developed. There's always different processes, new equipment coming out. This alchemator thing that strips beer and turns it into seltzer. I mean, I didn't know about that a month ago. So there's always new stuff to learn, and I'm always willing and eager to learn more. And I love, kind of training and teaching and stuff like that, and hopefully instilling some decent values here and there, and helping people kind of think about putting the beer over themselves. Because the beer doesn't care that it's your birthday. The yeast don't give a shit that it's your wife's.
Science doesn't care about your feelings.
Yeah, the yeast don't care that it's your wife's mom's 70th birthday and you have to be some the beer is going to do what the beer is going to do, and it's up to you to try to control that environment as best as you can. So, for all the jokes I make and some of the negativity I put out and some of the shit I talk, like, I still love this. Like, it totally saved my life, this industry. So, I don't want to get out of it. I never want to go back to a cubicle. There are times when it's like, yeah, it would probably be easier if I just fucking went to Publix and, put in some time and became a regional,
assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, but there is a real tangible result of your work in this industry, and it's very gratifying and rewarding. So I don't ever want to get out of it. It's definitely a volatile industry, and you're constantly adapting to new changes. Like, I got out of computers and IT because I'm like, I don't want to be in fucking school every year getting new certifications and learning new operating systems. And here we are, like, trying to keep up with new trends and new developments. And, so it's very similar. But, if you're going to ask the $1 million question, like, what if I won the lottery? I mean, I will disappear if I win the lottery. No one will ever fucking hear from me again. I'm definitely leaving Florida. I'll keep in touch with you guys, but I'm going to be on a fucking milk carton somewhere.
I have a close friend that actually says all the time, if I won the lottery, I'm going to disappear. Nobody's going to hear from me. My family won't hear from me. No one. I'm going to buy an ad on the Super Bowl, and every year I will just say, hey, I'm here, I'm okay, I'm alive, good seeing everybody, have a good year. And then next year run the same thing again. Yeah.
I'll buy ads for the Puppy Bowl.
An interesting thing about your answer to that is it's not the furthest thing from what you're doing right now. Like you look at what Phil was talking about, even what I would say, like, I'm working in production right now and I would love to be in a marketing role. Kevin, like, not to give away the story, but like went from the production role to a sales role deals a good bit in marketing. Like there's some dramatic changes that can happen, and your idea of like, I still want to be involved with like making the beer, production of the beer,
and teaching,
but teaching and like teaching other people about it. Like I think that's one of the best answers that I've ever heard for it. Is I feel that so many of us want to pivot from one aspect to another. Like I'm not even trying to make a joke about this. Is like we want to go into a different aspect because we want to learn it, or we feel that it's more comfortable for us. But you want to take the thing that you are comfortable with and that you know a good bit about, and you want to pass that knowledge on to other people and hopefully help other people with doing what it is that you have already done, want to do, like, or maybe even surpass it at that point. And like, that's one of the most commendable things I feel like I can say. Like, I'm being 100% honest. Like,
stop grabbing his leg. Stop touching him in this way. It's embarrassing.
But I think that is incredible to hear you say. And I think that you are absolutely qualified to do such a thing, because you, in the small amount of time that you and I worked together in a production environment of the brew pub, like we worked together at, but I felt like we were all, sorry, I said it. I'll bleep it.
Our previous brewery.
At our previous brewery, we were on the job learning at that time.
Yeah.
And it was like, who knows what the fuck? It's still, I look back at that and say, I don't know what the fuck was going on.
It's still on the job learning, man. I mean, everywhere we are, it's on the job learning.
But like working with you for the 2-3 months that we were together is one of the best things that I've ever had in my life. And I enjoyed that to all extents, and I will carry that with me. And I'm glad that you taught me some things, and I'm hopeful that we get to do that again sometime in the future, because you are a really good teacher at things in this. You learned from an awesome person who is sitting to my left here.
Yeah.
I'm not good with directions.
Well, I learned from all of you guys. I mean, you and Phil, I learned the simple idea that, they left, careers they were unhappy with and pursued something they enjoyed. Holy shit, maybe I can do that too. I mean, it really wasn't until you guys did that I thought it was possible for myself to break free. I felt fucking completely trapped forever. I was in hell. And then, fortunately I get to work under Kevin, who, really instilled, not just the right processes and thoughts about, how things work and what's, the consequences of pressing this button or opening that valve, but just instilling the right values, like putting the beer first and making sure that, regardless of the guy who, the guy who signs your paycheck is going to come along and go, yeah, let's fuck with this beer, even though you've already made 3 of the 4 total batches that are going into this tank. And it's like, well, what is that going to do? Why are we doing that on this level? What does that mean? We're not going to know what difference that made. And I think Kevin really helped instill that ability to keep people who want to fuck with everything honest. And I think that's what our previous brewery lacks. And I think that's what every brewery needs, someone to just say, hey, like, what are we doing here? Like, is this...
Hold someone accountable. Hold yourself accountable for what you're doing.
Yeah, everyone. I mean, everyone has a hand in it. Like, I've always used the word we when... at my last brewery, it was a fucking brew pub. For most of it, I was the only person in the brew house, and we were fortunate enough to win some cool awards and shit, but I would always say we. I would go up to the bartenders and say, hey, we won this. And they'd go, no, you won. And I'm like, no, this is we, because you're on the front lines, you're selling it, you're the one who has to describe it to a guest who comes in, you're the one who has to hype it up and help us sell it, this is a collaborative effort from top to bottom. It doesn't matter if I'm the one physically making it. Everyone has a hand in it. So everyone should hopefully be excited and hyped up to, sell and enjoy the rewards and all that stuff. So, education is important, and not everyone is. Like I was saying earlier, like some people just kind of get into it because they see dollar signs, but don't really bother to do the homework. And that's just something that kind of bothers me. And, if sometimes when you go to some of these classes or these seminars, sometimes they're taught by these macro guys who only understand things from like an engineering perspective on a very large macro scale. And it just doesn't apply to the majority of small brewers.
But there's something to learn from them too.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
Absolutely.
absolutely to learn from them.
Those were the guys, like when I went to UC Davis for the intensive course for a week, one of the very first things the professor said was like, I'm sure you're probably craft beer people. I don't want to hear a fucking word about, macro beer is horse piss. And he's like, I'm not going to tolerate that shit in this class. Because if you really want to talk about quality and consistency in their truest senses, those breweries are the one who truly have it. And I still believe that to this day.
Respect. I think we all fell ass backwards into this shit. I mean, I know two of you sitting at this table. I met at a craft beer bar before any of us were in this industry. Yep. And we all kind of fell into it. And we fell into our current roles. The only reason, and I'm director of operations at Barrel of Monks, is because someone who will remain nameless took a dream job at a incredible growing national, now international brewery, and someone had to step into the role and do some other things. Once again, they'll remain nameless, and they have a terrible taste in alcohol that they enjoy to drink. But I had to step into that role because someone needed to do it, and I had on the job training. I had to learn it as I went, and going from producing beer, making beer every day, having to run up and down those brew house steps, hurting my back, hurting my knees, till now I'm overseeing sales, tasting room, freaking doing the books, running QuickBooks and running software in a way that I never did before. But you find a way to do it. If you can think on your feet a little bit, you can do a lot of things if you put in the time and you put in the effort.
Yeah, I also think if you pool your resources, when I moved from sales into more of that marketing operations position at our old brewery, I relied on some of my previous coworkers and team members and friends from around the industry to sort of guide me and help me, and sort of created my own path, which hopefully that person that left gave you a little bit of a roadmap.
Wait, who are we talking about now? I'm confused.
And even as our positions continue to change and grow, because they do, literally, nothing is constant in this industry or most industries in general. Yeah.
Especially with what we're doing right now.
Yeah,
things are changing on a regular basis.
Hopefully you do have that pool of contacts that you can reach out to for different opinions. Mike, you don't have an operations background per se.
Well,
a little bit.
At that one brewery.
At our previous brewery.
100%. You don't have the sales background, but I can come to you and I can say, hey.
Sales 100%.
What do you think about X, Y, and Z? And even without a sales background, it's sometimes that refreshing take that somebody doesn't have.
I understand certain aspects of it. One thing about and when I went into Copper Point right now, where I'm at, is that the thing that I told them is like, I don't know how to produce wort, and I'm not a salesperson. Like, I understand sales data. I understand how to look at sales data and comprehend it, and how sales kind of work. But I'm not a salesperson. Like, you put me out in front of people, I don't fucking know what to do. I'm awkward as fuck. And I still like...
But you'll host some awesome podcasts about beer and wrestling.
Yeah, because I'm sitting with people who I feel comfortable around. I just worked like this year the Field of Beers and Jupiter Craft Brewers Festival back-to-back days, and it's the first time I've worked beer fests like that in a long time, and I realize I've still never been good at this. Like, people will come up and like try to like do like, hey, I'll have like this paper, like, and they give you
doing finger guns.
Yeah, but people do that at beer festivals. They'll shoot you finger guns, and I don't know how to respond to it because I'm fucking awkward with people who I don't know. Is that what we're at now?
Listen, I mean, you would almost double it since both hands are being used for the finger guns.
So wait, so are we down into the 30s now?
Just so you know, you got to
just
go
call
when
it
you
4.
next time you do that. Make sure for the audio podcast you go pow pow pow. You got to do that. Go ahead.
But it's like I'm not a salesperson, and you know what? Like, to the people sitting at this table, maybe not the people listening. Like, that was the way that I tried to get into this industry, was by getting into sales, and realized like, no, I'm not meant for that. And like, to piggyback into what we were talking about, like, I'm working in production right now. I've worked on operations. I've worked with marketing. I've worked a little bit with sales, not successfully, but like, I want to be in the marketing aspect of things because I love designing stuff. I love taking pictures. I love creating a voice and creating a just a story that is going on for a brewery, and that's what I want to do. I want to be creative with things, and I definitely can do that by being in production as well. And that's something that when I was in PA a year ago at this point, that I was able to do, and help be creative with Moss Mill Brewing, that I give the biggest shout out to because I loved working there. I love those people, and they are still fam to me. Like, Joel gave me an opportunity to be creative as well, and I'm super thankful of what he gave me. And like, I'm still being able to be a little bit creative at Copper Point now. Like, we're a little bit more of a production heavy brewery where we're at, but we get to be a little bit creative with some stuff in house. But to me, where I like to be creative with my Adobe apps. I like to be creative with Illustrator and with Lightroom and Photoshop and with my camera. And I want to create things like that and create stories off of that. I just took a picture a few days ago of just our tap room in the gloominess of a rainy day, which I love our tap room during the gloominess of a rainy day, because I don't know. It's picturesque. Whatever. Call me crazy. They're laughing at me.
Sunset Heart Hands.
But shout out to Carrie Designs, who made an amazing tap room for us.
I thought you were going to give a shout out to Gloomy Days. I honestly
shout out to Gloomy Days. But like that's what I want to do. And I like if I'm going to keep on being physically active in it, I'm not against it. But as Joel said, like, my body can't put up with that for that much longer. I'm a 6'1" human being whose knees and back fucking suck, and have sucked since I was 18, and like lifting 55-pound bags and lifting kegs and all of that hurt. And I can't do that for very much longer. So I'm trying to find a place in this industry that I feel like I can be productive, and I feel like marketing is the thing that I can help do decently.
I wasn't asked yet what I would do, but if they could find a way to pay me to sit on my couch and watch reruns of The Office, that would be my ideal situation to transition to in the beer industry. Is that part of the beer industry? It's
I'm sure
not.
you can find,
I'd be
So you would be
I'd
assistant to
the assistant. I'd be
someone.
drinking beer at that time.
QA/QC.
I like what I do. I like overseeing a lot of different things. I actually hope that 2 years from now, 3 years from now, there's somebody that is looking at more of the day-to-day operational stuff, and I can look at more big picture stuff. That's what I really want to be able to do, because I love having input on the tap room, sales, marketing, production, all those things. But the day-to-day minutia stuff is the stuff that kind of drives me a little bit crazy, and I think it is for everybody. So the bigger we get, and the more we can expand, and the more people we can employ, and the more we can promote people, that's the ideal for me, is to be able to say, okay, you look at the day-to-day operations, I can work on big picture stuff, I can work on and I love spreadsheets. I'm the spreadsheet king. I'll put all your numbers together, I'll do all that kind of stuff. But there is a small part of me, actually a decent-sized part of me, that goes, man, if I can just get back to the days when I had to go in a brew house, get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, be done at 5, can't take my work home with me, can't brew a beer from my couch, but I can definitely work on spreadsheets from my couch. I can take sales and marketing and all that stuff home. It's a romanticized version of it, because when I was doing it, it was killing my body and I was tired and frustrated and all those things. But part of me longs for those days of just not having the responsibility of making the brewery run, just knowing I did my work for today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think that about wraps most of this up. This is where we would normally do last calls. I don't know if Kevin recalls this from the previous incarnation of the show, but this is where you get to just spout off about something that bothers you, makes you happy, whatever. No one gets to oppose you. No one gets to interrupt you.
Soapbox time, basically.
Yeah. So I'm going to hand it off to Joel. Do you have a last call that you want to?
Yeah, I'd really like to say fuck Traeger grills. I spent $640 on a pellet grill for Father's Day. My wife told me, hey, I wanted to get you a grill, but you go pick it out. And I've been buying bullshit grills my entire life because I never wanted to spend the money, and I was never good at grilling anyway. But I've really been getting into real barbecue and just devouring videos online of how to do it, and ordered tons of special rubs and spices and sauces, and was really going to get into it. Got really excited to get a new grill, and one that seemingly was worth the money. Piece of shit right out of the box. Arrived all smashed up. Had a defective auger motor that couldn't feed pellets into the heating chamber properly. They sent me a new auger motor, which I had to reinstall myself. And then when I fired it up for the first time last weekend, everything seemed to be going fine. I had a rack of ribs and a pork butt going. Smelled great. I spent the money on portable wireless temperature probes, and I was really taking it very seriously. I was making very detailed notes as if I was brewing, just okay, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and we're at 235 degrees and blah, 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 all that shit. And halfway through the day, the fucking pellet chamber just completely overfilled and the fire cut off. And I had to break down the entire grill, remove all the food and grates and bullshit, and fix it. I had to shop vac everything out of the goddamn grill and then start the smoke all over again. And the smoker is right outside our family room window on the patio out back. And my wife looks at me and goes, is it supposed to be smoking like that? The fucking thing caught fire. It's not supposed to. And it
Wait,
wasn't,
it's not supposed to?
No,
Oh.
no, it's supposed to
Good
be
to know.
it's supposed to be low and slow heat, burning pellets very slowly. And so it took me about a month to actually get this thing working since I received it. And then I fired it up for the first time, and it fucking ruined everything. Customer service has been a shit show. They won't help me because I didn't buy it directly from them. Home Depot support is completely unresponsive. So my next step here is just to dispute the charge with American Express and take every possible opportunity I can to tell people that Traeger grills are pieces of shit. Don't buy them. And If you took barbecue Twitter and I told you so Twitter into a Venn diagram, it would be a perfect circle. And I caught a lot of shit from a lot of people who were like, "Oh yeah, you gotta do charcoal and wood, you pussy." Okay, lesson learned. I'll be getting my money back one way or another, and hopefully smoking some good meat soon. I was hoping to have a successful trial run last week so I could cook something cool for this weekend we're having together here. Obviously that fucked up, but Traeger grills, like, sue me. I don't give a shit. Like 12 people listen to this podcast, so
Is Traeger Grills a sponsor?
You're not allowed to
No,
question this.
No,
they sponsored the Joe Rogan podcast.
I'm sorry. I want to know if they were a sponsor.
not yet. That's a last.
Phil, you have the last call?
I don't have anything specifically this week, but I would like to say cheers to you. Your wedding's right around the corner, and
Thank you.
you for years of friendship and everything that comes with it. Good luck.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Kevin?
Well, that's not fair. I was going to say something nice about Mike, and now it seems derivative. How about this? Whatever you think about COVID-19, just be nice to each other. If you don't think a mask works, or you think that there's some kind of government conspiracy, or 5G is going to kill you, just wear a mask and just be nice. Just kind of be nice. It's not a lot of work. It doesn't hurt you. It's not bad. Just wear a mask and be kind.
Yeah. Fuck Traeger Grills. Thank you to my BFFs for hanging out with me this weekend. It really means a lot to me. Like, in this whole weird, wacky world that we fucking live in right now, I've always, like, I don't know how many people have told me that planning a wedding is a pain in the ass. Planning a wedding during COVID is even worse. And this is just a weird situation to be in. I'm ridiculously happy to be sitting at a table with three of my best friends, hanging out, who will 2.5, 2.25. I'm so happy to be spending time with you guys, and I'm happy that you guys are going to be hanging out with me in a couple weeks when I become wed. And I just, like, thank you to all of you people who have listened to the show and become friends of the show, become friends of ours. There's a ton of you who have joined into the virtual happy hours, who I've never met before. And I enjoyed a laugh with you, enjoyed talking shit with you, enjoyed just hanging out behind Zoom with you. Like, you know who you are. If we've talked on Twitter, if we've talked on Zoom, if we've talked via anything, I appreciate it. Like, we just wanted to do this fucking podcast to outlet some of our own frustrations and love for this industry that maybe isn't put out by a lot of other outlets. Like, there's great people who write about beer. There's great people who produce stuff about beer, who absolutely deserve credit. Good Beer Ponding has an amazing group of people who write for them, and such. And, like, yeah, you can look at us as being somewhat negative sometimes about this industry, but you know what? Like, we're still in it, and we're still fighting to make it better. We're not just fucking coming across and making bullshit reasons for why, like, oh, these fucking people making exploding cans. Fuck, like, yeah. Well, you know what? We're going to try to not make shit like that to make things better. We're not just going to take our ball and go home. Thank you to everyone who has joined us, continue to support us, and I appreciate that. So, anyone want to plug anything? Kevin, do you want to plug anything about Barrel of Monks?
Go to Barrel of Monks. Does that help? Is that how it's supposed to go?
Perfect.
You can plug your Instagram or Twitter. Or...
Oh, Barrel of Monks is on Instagram. Is that good?
Perfect.
Okay. Photos and stuff.
We make beer.
Should really talk to that guy that left that word. You can follow me at ppalmasano77 on Instagram and Dos Birigos on Twitter.
Really?
Florida DUH Brewer on Instagram and Twitter.
And I'm at Mike Loves Beer on Instagram and Twitter. The show is at United We Drink on Twitter and at United We Drink Pod on Instagram. We're also on Facebook and our website, unitedwedrink.com. And you can find the show on all of the major podcast apps. And apparently coming soon, Amazon Music will have podcast services. And we're going to be one of the first podcasts available on that service. What? So, fuck yeah!
Brought to you by Traeger Ghost.
Hey, Alexa, play United We Drink.
I can't find the song.
Damn it.
Alexa, stop.
Thank you, everyone who has supported us for the last year. Hopefully you'll stick around for the next year or however long that this show goes on. We love you. Thank you. Cheers. Good night. Bye.
65.
When did we start the podcast?
I don't even remember how we start the show.
You usually do some intro.
Yeah, I didn't write any of that shit.
Do you write a new intro for the show?
Usually, yeah.
You want to take a moment to come up
This
with it?
motherfucker never writes an intro for our show. We do it all off the top of our head.
improv. Just improv an intro.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to United We Drink. It's our fucking anniversary.
Explicit content already.
No, we'll...